the first marriage has to die.
Oh my gosh.
It has to.
You cannot. Have you ever seen somebody like try to make an old beat up car? They put rims on it and you're like, bro, why didn't you just save that extra $5,000
Yeah.
and go towards just a better vehicle? Now you've got that old car with some shiny rims. I think sometimes trying to repair brokenness can be like that, where it's like, you know what, let's just give this chapter to God. It's over. Marriage number 2.
When did that start? Was there a ritual you guys had? Was there
Yeah.
a moment where you said, this marriage is no longer ours?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not in this marriage anymore. If we're going to do this, we need to create a new marriage, new vows. I don't know. What was the process or ritual like?
So I heard a woman named Esther Perel.
Yeah. I've had her on many times.
Have you?
She's
You
great.
gotta throw it out like that, like a hero of mine. She's your friend. Got it. No, she has a lot. She has a lot to say, and I heard her talk about that concept at work. In
her
Florida.
podcast, or she's got a podcast that talks about like how to repair relationships that have gone through infidelity and
yes, and she is a beast. I mean, in the most respectful way that you use that word. And I came back. I told Laura, this is what I heard. Let's do that. Let's shake on it. It's been real. First marriage.
Really.
Marriage number 2. Boom. And it was like, for both of us, just fresh air, because that marriage is done. It's the second marriage. So we both get to know each other again. And it's beautiful. You're on the precipice of one of the best things in life, which is marrying the woman you love. And you don't know who you are when you get married. You have advantages because you're a little bit more
older,
accomplished in life. But when you're 20-something years old and you're sitting there taking marriage vows,
you're a baby still.
Oh my gosh. You're not the same person the next day. Like, you don't know who you're committing to. I look back at Laura staring in my eyes, early 20s, going, I give you my life. I trust you. We didn't know who we were. So now at 45, we're both 45. We feel better than we've ever felt, more honest than we've ever been, more authentic. We have more fun. We have better intimacy. We have a better rapport. Like I'm able to be who I always envisioned I could be for her.
Really?
Yeah, because there was this big blockage called the lies and the fake me that was between my wife and I, and that's not there. So she's able to see more of me, and I'm able to see all of her, and I'm overjoyed with it. If we can do it, I think there's a lot of people that can have hope that they can do it too.
And it doesn't mean if someone has betrayed you or lied to you or cheated on you or whatever it might be, that you need to stay with them.
If Laura was here, she'd say 8 out of 10 should go. 8 out of 10. So this isn't like a condemnation of people that left. Leave marriages when they're dangerous and they're in trouble. Or Laura would say that it's the man's responsibility to do the work. If he does the work and he shows up for it, then you have reason to maybe consider.
Right.
But this blanket, I'm going to stay married because that's God's will. Number one, wrong. That's not right, firstly. And secondly, you have the right to protect yourself. You have the right to walk away biblically, especially if somebody has broken their vows and you feel threatened in any way. That's right a lot.
How does that, I mean, because there's so many people that say once you get married that you're set for life. That's what the church or the religion has either told them or influenced them or... So how can someone who is a religious person or who believes in marriage to one person forever, thinking and believing that's God's way, desires, or the church's desires, and if I get divorced or separate, then God won't love me, the church will disown me, people will judge me. How does someone navigate that?
Well, right away, if someone thinks that, there's a fundamental flaw in their prism about who God is, because they, in their mind, their salvation still has something to do with their performance, so in their mind, they're thinking, I did stuff so God would love me, and if I don't do those things, God won't love me. They haven't necessarily been shown what the grace of God is, which is mercy and favor and love that you don't deserve, but you get it anyway. You don't deserve this. God gave it to us. So I didn't earn it. Therefore, I can't lose that. So that's the first thing people understand. Like, God's not going to, he's not a conditional parole officer where it's like, Lewis, you were great in February. My gosh, gold star, my guy.
Yeah.
Now, March, you're on the fence. We don't know who you are. I don't know. We're going to see how many times can you go to church this month. And then me and the angels will have a look at helping you out. A lot of people, that's actually their framework, and it's very sad and it's painful to watch. But it's when things go wrong, it's not God's plan that was the problem. It's humanity.
Yeah.
So it's not like the institution of marriage that God set up is wrong. I don't know about that. Why? Because someone broke the pattern and broke the plan. So I think removing that, and Laura would have something to say on that because she did struggle with her relationship with God for a little bit because she did everything right. She was faithful. She was resolute, disciplined, faithful, and did all the right things. And she was put in this horrible position. It's fair to go, is any of this real? Like, I mean, it's easier for me because I've made all these mistakes. So it's easier for me to come to grips with it. But for her to do nothing wrong, nothing, and have to carry the weight of that, was a big thing. But she got through it and she's, in a beautiful place with that. But it was definitely a challenge.
And not to get too personal here, but you mentioned intimacy being, great between you guys. How does, a woman who has been affected, and maybe only Laura can speak to this, but what she's told you,
I can relay,
or what she's said on the podcast that you guys have talked about, what has she shared on how she's been able to allow herself in intimate sexual moments with you to feel safe again?
Yeah.
Like, how has she been able, what has she shared so far?
It's a lot of work. I think that because
she's had to go through her own healing journey on her own.
Yeah.
She talks about in your guys' podcast.
Yeah, she does. She does. I think hers was, she's a fighter though. Like, so there's two ways to handle triggers: run away from them or freaking go at them. And she's that type of person. Like, we just left New York and some people are like, did New York trigger you? She's like, I'm not going to let my husband's old bad decisions rob me of the greatest city in the world.
Wow, that's interesting.
But that's her framework.
That's interesting.
So she thought about that with the bedroom. She thought about that with holding hands. It's like, she can let this trigger her the rest of her life because that represents my husband's infidelity, sexual, emotional, physical, or I can go confront that thing. And she chose that. And there were some really hard moments, like I've shared, when I would get close to her for the first 2 or 3 months, her body would shake and she wouldn't know. That's hard to deal with.
She would feel safe physically with you.
Her brain is here. She's trying to talk to me, but her body is shaking. And that's a very, very, very horrible place to put your wife. And you talk about shame.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good.
No, those are the tough ones. Those are the hardest moments. And nothing to do with public thinking, anything like that.
No one sees that.
Pales in comparison to trying to hold your wife's hand. And her body's petrified of you. And that's part of my journey, my consequence.
Wow.
So yeah, it has intimacy. We found out is much obviously deeper than sex. Sex can be sometimes a part of intimacy, but we're intimate with our conversation and our proximity and our outside of just sex. It's
you can look each other in the eyes. With consideration, care, thoughtfulness.
I could be across the room, she's across the room, and I know that somebody in that room sees me. That's cool. That's a good feeling.